We are with him. He is with his church members. And we call him Quaker number 1. So friends, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome His Excellency Dr. Honorable Musalia, who is the Prime Cabinet Secretary, to take this opportunity to come and address us. Let's give him an applause, clap, as we welcome him to come and speak to us. Welcome, brother.
Hello. Can you hear me? Are the Quakers in the hall? Yes. Are you really there? Yes. May we hear you? Yes. Well, thank you so much. I have a few remarks that I'll make, not too long, because I would not want to eat too much into your time, bearing in mind you have a lot of things to cover in the next few days. But first, let me make the following statement. To Dr. John Mohanji, Director of Friends United Meeting Africa Section, the Vice Chancellor of Kabarak University, Professor Henry Kiption Kiplagat, religious leaders present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and more precisely, fellow Quakers. Before I make some statement, let me acknowledge one thing. On your behalf, but I know you will also say it, let me take this moment to thank the Vice Chancellor of Kabarak University for hosting us in his institution. We are deeply touched, we are honored, and a lot of the Kenyans here know that we are here courtesy of the vision of one famous Kenyan in the name of Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. It is his vision and his commitment to education that bore fruit to this very institution that is now a source of pride for the people of Kenya. We really salute you, Professor, for keeping the flag up there, and we shall make more trips to honor your good work. So God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor, both as a Quaker and representing the government of Kenya, to heartily welcome the World Quaker Congregation to Africa, and particularly Kenya. It is our pride that Quakers in Kenya and Kenya as a country are host to the first ever World Congregation of Quakers. This conference is truly a landmark event for Africa, particularly its pledge theme, Come, Abide, and Go. The theme is daring Quakers to reach out because we believe Christ is calling unto us to come, abide by his teachings, and then go on missions. It is invariably daring Quakers in Africa to take responsibility of ministering the Quaker foundations of peace, humility, and integrity. Peace, because Africa is grappling with myriad violent economic and political conflicts. It It is a continent awash with mercenaries, fighting proxy international wars that need the intervention by the Church of Friends. You must have heard of the Russian Wagner militia struggling over Africa's natural resources. We also know what is happening in Sudan, and we also know what is happening around our borders. After peace, let me pick on humility. Humility because leaders in Africa need humility in large doses, especially when leaders refuse to leave power when their terms expire or refuse to accept defeat after democratic elections. I think our good lady who gave a report to the IBC must have a story to tell when you will engage her. Let me come to the third item, integrity. I pick on integrity because it is mainly in Africa where integrity is a choice. This is when corruption is embedded as a virtue in governance rather than a plague to be vanquished. My fellow Quakers, by commissioning Quaker activities in Africa, I look forward to an enhanced alternative to violence program for Africa that will replicate the Ramallah Friends School Center in Palestine and establish Quaker universities for peace studies in the manner found in the USA and Canada. This development will complement local Quaker peace efforts. In Kenya, the Quaker fraternity was at the forefront of counseling and resettlement of displaced Kenyans following the post-election violence of 2007, 2008, and earlier skirmishes in the Mount Elgon area. And perhaps with some measure of humility, I was deeply involved in restoring peace with Kofi Annan, Mkapa, Gracia Machel, when Kenya was in turmoil. In the meantime, it is gratifying that the Quaker Church in Kenya is working on a peace curriculum to be integrated in the national education curriculum. This is the way to go in influencing national discourse now and for posterity. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki. But before I sit, let me just highlight one or two things that I hope you can engage, deliberate upon when you start your other formal sessions. One, climate change is now a big problem globally. We have a crisis. We've just come out of the very severe drought. We know that a lot of the conflict in some of the areas that were mentioned, whether it's in Turkana or Samburu, or even at the border level between our country and other countries, the issue of fighting for resources is a challenge. And the biggest challenge we are facing is when there's serious erosion and destruction of our natural resources. So I would like you as Quakers to focus and put your footprint on this challenge around climate change. In Kenya, the government has committed that in the next 10 years, that is by 2032, we want to have planted 15 billion trees. It sounds impossible, but if every Kenyan planted just about 300 trees on an annual basis, we shall be able to achieve 15 billion trees in 10 years. So you as a Quaker, when you get home, just focus on 300 trees every year. That translates to just about 10 or so trees every month. Not bad, is it? It's doable. All right? Now, here's the other catch. As a policy decision, we're also saying that out of these 15 billion trees, we want 5 billion trees to be fruit trees. A third to be fruit trees. Your avocados, your mangoes, your guavas, oranges, apples, passion, you name it. So if we were able to have 5 billion of these 15 billion in 10 years as fruit trees, just think of the economy. How much fruit will you be able to export globally? It's amazing, isn't it? So, as Quakers, and I'm one of you, me have committed I'll do my 10 every month. I hope you will do the same. So let us then develop or focus on what will be the Quaker greening strategy. Okay? The Quaker greening strategy. Then you implement it. The other point I'd like to touch on as I was listening to the conversation on the podium, we have a crisis of unemployment. My fellow Quakers, we have a crisis of unemployment. There are about 7 million young men and women, capable, able, schooled, but we have a crisis. We have to figure out what we shall do as a collective to sort out some of these problems. I may not know the full curricula at the French Theological College, for instance, but I think as Quakers, we may need to double up the theological component with one or two other skills, so that that pastor, that preacher, will not just pass the word of God, but will be an extension officer on matters of economy and skilling the congregation that they go to. I would not mind if my pastor doubles up as an agricultural officer. I would not mind if my pastor doubled up as an ICT trainer. I would not mind if my pastor doubled up as a nurse. And I would not mind if my pastor also doubled up as a mechanic. So convey that message so that we again pull together in trying to deal with this challenge of unemployment. The other one that I'll just touch on, not very pleasant though, but in a way it dovetails into what I've talked about. We are having fake prophets. They've caused havoc globally and more recent here in Kenya. People have lost lives. People have surrendered their hard-earned wealth to people who have not worked for anything. So, where have we failed? I have no answer. Please try and seek answers to this, so that our society and our young children, because sometimes it beats logic, it defeats logic. It's very difficult to comprehend. When somebody is a professor and they actually surrender all their years of work, abandon their families, and then follow a false prophet who has not even been to class 1. It beats logic. So, where have we gone wrong as a society? I will leave that with you. It's a rhetorical question so that you can debate it, and hopefully in the resolutions that will emerge from this conference of Quakers, you will help in giving us some light and some guidance so that we can partner with you as government and help in making sure that people are not taken to the wrong path. Finally, I'll just tell you a story. I was at Namanga yesterday. Right at the border. Kenya is about 5,500 kilometers of straight line, borderline with all the countries. With Uganda, we are about 970 kilometers of borderline. Somalia is about 800 to 900. We have almost equal measure with Ethiopia and South Sudan, and also with Tanzania. Cumulatively, it's about 5,000 plus kilometers. Now, I came across Kenyans within the framework of the East African community who are actually tasked to provide boundaries and align them throughout that range. And it is quite an exercise. I asked them, to what extent do you use technology? They said, we use technology for mapping. But when it comes to going and walking these borders, we have to do it physically and put border pillars over 5,000 kilometers. But what was important was not necessarily the physical aspect of surveying and the science that goes into it. What was critical is that they were on a mission, and we were on a mission that how do we help border communities In Kenya, the Somali community, where we border with Somalia. We have the Maasai, the Taita, the Digos, where we border with Tanzania. We have the Ugandans, we have the Pokot, the Teso, the Luya, who border on that direction. Then we have those communities of Turkana that border with South Sudan, and the communities of Marsabit that border Ethiopia. There's always conflict. And in Africa, it is recorded, according to AU, that there are about 116 conflict areas that relate to boundaries. In Kenya, East Africa, there are about, in East Africa, there are about 22. These conflicts cause refugees. In Kenya, we are having a population of refugees of about 670,000. It becomes difficult, it puts pressure on the host communities, but because we are also tied to humanitarian efforts and the global aspect, you cannot chase them away. They have to be helped, they have to be supported, they have to be fed, they have to be educated, they have to get medical care. Now, this is the challenge. This is where the Quaker must put their best foot forward, so that you can be part of the solution, part of ensuring good integration of border communities, to have them to make them become harmonious, and at the same time to help them so that we can move away from this tension. And therefore, I come back now to what I said. Can that theologian also be an agricultural extension officer? Can that theologian also be a livestock development expert, so that we can help enhance the opportunities of the people who are challenged, and in the process we will achieve our objective as Quakers, people of Mutembei, people of peace. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my piece as a Quaker today. May God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You've given us some very good thoughts and challenges, which are very key elements in which we are going to look into it. And it is good that at least you brought them out. There are things that have been behind the curtain being discussed. The seriousness, theological training with diversified various disciplines gives the pastor an opportunity to do his ministry without challenges. We have just appreciate that. That is just excellence. I like us, okay.
Sorry, as we are conspiring on something here. So we were trying to speak in low tones, but we might as well make it public. As my support to the conference, I was going to give the organizing committee 500,000 Kenya shillings to help with the logistics. Thank you.